What if the little white pill you swallow every morning, the one meant to protect your heart, was secretly poisoning it? What if the same medicine trusted by millions to control blood pressure is quietly loading your body with cancer-causing chemicals? Sounds impossible, right? Yet shocking investigations and FDA recalls have revealed that several popular blood pressure drugs were tainted with nitrosamines, dangerous carcinogens known to damage DNA and increase cancer risk over time. How did this happen? How did life-saving pills turn into silent threats sitting in your medicine cabinet right now? And more importantly, could one of them be yours? Welcome to BizWorld Explorer, where we uncover the hidden truths behind global health and money. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 7 blood pressure medications that may not be as safe as you think. Stay tuned. What you'll learn might change everything. Number 1. Xartan. For nearly 2 decades, millions of people relied on Xartan, a common blood pressure medication, to protect their hearts, lower hypertension, and reduce the risk of stroke. It was considered one of the most trusted drugs in its class. But in mid-2018, that trust shattered. Investigators discovered that the active ingredient produced by one overseas supplier contained dangerously high levels of NDMA, a nitrosamine impurity classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as a probable human carcinogen. Soon, pharmacies across the U.S. began pulling certain lot numbers from their shelves. Confusion spread fast. Patients were told, "Don't stop your medicine without consulting your doctor, but stop this batch immediately." Imagine the panic, being told the pill you've taken daily for years might cause cancer. So, what went wrong? The factory responsible had reused industrial solvents, maintained poor temperature control, and failed to test for nitrosamines in its final products. That chain of negligence transformed a trusted treatment into a potential toxin. For patients on tight budgets, switching medications wasn't easy. Some faced higher costs, others new side effects, and many felt betrayed by a system they thought safeguarded their health. Key takeaway: even long-trusted generics can conceal hidden dangers. Always check lot numbers, verify recalls, and ask your pharmacist about safer alternatives. Number 2. Presurex. Presurex was once marketed as a reliable solution for patients dealing with both high blood pressure and fluid retention. For years, it was seen as a convenient 2-in-1 pill that helped millions maintain heart health. But in late 2020, a shocking revelation shattered that trust. A manufacturer issued a Class 1 recall, the highest level of severity, after discovering tiny lead fragments embedded inside certain batches of Presurex tablets. Lead is a heavy metal that should never be present in any medication. The contaminated pills, with expiration dates stretching into 2025, had already been distributed across pharmacies nationwide before the problem was detected. For regulators, it was a red alert. For patients, it was a nightmare. Investigations traced the contamination to a subcontracted facility where metal grinding and pill manufacturing occurred under the same roof. Poor cleaning procedures, inadequate separation of work areas, and minimal oversight allowed microscopic metal shards to slip into the final product unnoticed. For many, it raised an alarming realization: the pill they trusted for their heart might actually be harming it. Before taking your next dose, ask yourself, are you sure your medicine is free from hidden dangers? And when was the last time you checked where your pills were really made? Number 3. Drug C. Arbutin was widely prescribed as a life-saving medication for people suffering from diabetes and high blood pressure, especially for protecting the kidneys from long-term damage. But in 2019, the drug's reputation took a serious hit when a global manufacturing audit uncovered contamination in its active ingredient, sourced from a major supplier in South Asia. The contaminant was NDEA, a type of nitrosamine known to be a probable human carcinogen. Soon after the discovery, over 100 lots of Arbutin and its combination pills were urgently pulled from shelves. Pharmacies issued recall notices, urging patients to verify their medication before continuing use. Although there were no immediate hospitalizations or deaths linked to the impurity, experts warned that nitrosamines cause damage over time, slowly building up risks of cancer through years of exposure. Regulators worldwide tightened their rules, demanding more frequent testing and stricter manufacturing oversight. Still, many patients were left with lingering doubt. Can they truly trust what's in their daily medicine? Before you take your next pill, ask yourself, do you know where your medication comes from? And can you really be sure that what's meant to heal you isn't quietly harming you instead? If you're taking any of these medications, or know someone who is, pause the video and check the lot number on your bottle. Google FDA RECALL drug name lot, or your country's regulator, and see whether your batch is affected. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button on BizWorld Explorer, because we're going to keep tracking recalls, contamination investigations, and alternative safe medications. Better safe than sorry. Number 4. Drug D, Vasotrol. Vasotrol has long been prescribed for older adults to reduce heart attack and stroke risk. But in early 2021, one U.S. distributor discovered irregular packaging. Tablets labeled Vasotrol 50 milligrams, but found to be 20 milligrams strength. And worse, it contained trace amounts of a previously unknown nitrosamine, NMBA, at levels above temporary thresholds set by the regulator. The recall triggered a shortage of the drug, price spikes, and havoc in cardiology clinics relying on consistency. Patients reported anxiety, not just about the drug's safety, but about whether their dose was even correct. This problem exposes it's not only the chemical contamination, but also the dosing mislabeling that adds risk. For viewers, take a moment right now to check any bottle you have, look up whether it's in a recall database, FDA, or local equivalent, and consult your provider if you have doubts. Number 5. Drug E, Cardifen. In mid-2018, Cardifen, a combination pill used by veterans and retirees, was found to contain higher than allowable levels of nitrosamines, NDMA, in a number of batches sourced from a Chinese API supplier. The recall became the trigger for over 1,000 lawsuits alleging long-term exposure to carcinogens. The legal argument: the companies either knew or should have known about the impurity risks, but failed to act, and seniors paid the price in fear and uncertainty. From a patient's point of view, the emotional cost is enormous. Trust lost, medication compliance shaken, long-term cancer risk hanging over them. What this reveals: generics aren't automatically safe just because they're approved. They still depend on supply chain integrity, quality controls, and regulatory enforcement. Number 6. Drug F, Presol. Presol, a staple in many family medicine cabinets for blood pressure control, went through a recall when a pharmacy in the U.S. discovered a tablet from a completely different class of drug inside the bottle, meaning the risk of wrong medication exposure. Although not strictly a carcinogen case, it illustrates how weak controls in packaging and distribution can lead to serious risk, including exposure to harmful chemicals or incorrect drugs. In the broader context of contamination, wrong drug exposure magnifies the uncertainty. If one pill might be contaminated or mispacked, how many millions might be quietly exposed? Advice: when you open a new bottle, inspect the tablets visually: color, imprint, shape, and if something looks off, color change, odd mark, foreign fragment, ask your pharmacist immediately. Number 7. Drug G, Hyper 4. Hyper 4 is a global generic used for decades, but a 2022 internal audit from one manufacturer flagged that recycled solvent use and inadequate cleaning had resulted in elevated nitrosamine levels in multiple lots. By the time the public recall was issued, patients in 30-plus countries had been exposed. Regulators emphasized this was a systemic issue, not a one-off. The supply chain for many generics spans continents. Extraction of API, formulation, packaging, distribution. A failure anywhere upstream can affect thousands downstream. For you, consider asking your provider whether you can switch to a brand that has published its testing for nitrosamines and metals publicly, or ask for the source of your specific lot. What these 7 cases reveal. The big picture: contamination isn't random. It often results from cost-cutting, inadequate oversight, reused solvents, poor cleaning, and global outsourcing. Patients on fixed incomes or with chronic conditions are often the hardest hit because changing medications can disrupt their treatment and budget. Regulators can act, but they typically move after contamination is discovered, meaning exposure may already have occurred. Trust in medication rests not just on the label, but on the invisible supply chain, the manufacturer's culture, and the regulatory environment. You have choices. Ask questions, switch brands, review your medicine cabinet, consult your doctor about alternatives tested for safety. So, what's the bottom line? The pills you trust to protect your heart may also carry hidden risks, and uncovering them takes vigilance. If you found this video helpful, do give it a like. Share it with someone who takes blood pressure medication, and don't forget to subscribe to BizWorld Explorer for more deep dives into medicine, money, and the hidden stories behind both. And if you want to stay ahead of recall warnings and contamination alerts, ring that notification bell so you're alerted as soon as new info drops. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.